Lord have mercy. Joseph Parker is on the damn booger sugar, y'all. Got to be more careful. What's going on, everybody? Well, by now, you have all heard, and most of you saw, I posted it on the community page, that Joseph Parker has failed his Vada testing. It has returned for traces of cocaine, right? Well, actually, cocaine metabolic benzocaine, or whatever how you ever say that. Traces of that cocaine usually only remain in your system for about 3 to 5 days, meaning that Mr. Parker had to have been exposed to this the day of the fight, October 25th. We all know he fought Fabio Wardley in London. He was stopped in the 11th round. Now, before this news broke of the failed VADA test, right, there were talks about a rematch because some felt it was maybe an early stoppage, right? And since the referee for this fight was Howard Foster, and he's been under scrutiny before for his early stoppages, I believe in the Froch versus Groves fight, a rematch was definitely being considered. However, now in the midst of whatever details about a rematch are being considered or even worked out, obviously this news dropped on our head. Okay, Frank Warren from Queensberry Promotions, he confirmed this failed VADA testing in his social media tweet. Since then, obviously, the story has spread like wildfire. Sky Sports News picked up the story, and here's what they had to say.
Former heavyweight world champion Joseph Parker failed a drugs test for cocaine on the day of his fight with Fabio Wardley. Parker went on to lose the fight at the O2 Arena in London on October the 25th.
Now, here's what we know, right? Obviously, we know that he failed his drug testing. We also know that he has the opportunity to have his B sample tested, but typically the B sample reads like your A sample in the majority of cases, right? So we're going to wait to see what happens with that. Now, he is under investigation, okay, by the BBOC and the UKAD. Parker could be in some serious trouble here. Okay, he can be facing a potential ban, which can range anywhere from a few months up to 2 years. Okay, now this is Parker's second goddamn run in with Vada. If y'all remember back in 2017, there was an issue with him failing to report his whereabouts, and he claimed it was because he was on holiday. Now, this is when he was the WBO champion, okay? And it was a part of the WBC, World Anti-Doping Agency's rules. Now, he didn't receive any punishment, but his promoter, that's because his promoter, Duca Events, explained that it was maybe an oversight. They didn't update their training location in the online system. So there's been speculation from there. This obviously comes as a shock. Some people were starting to write Joseph Parker off after his loss to Joe Joyce back in 2022. But then, this resurgence came when he switched trainers. I believe he started working with Andrew Lee, who is also related to Tyson Fury. And it looked like he had started to get better. He went on a 6-fight win streak, including a really good win over Deontay Wilder in 2023 down in Saudi Arabia. Then he went on to defeat Zhilei Zhang via majority decision, claiming the WBO interim. Now, he did get his ass knocked down twice in that fight, but he was able to dig deep and come out victorious. We also know that he was the mandatory for Mr. Footloose himself, Alexander Usyk, which is why this Fabio Wardley fight was so important. Again, surrounding the issue with the early stoppage and things like that. Now, obviously, he got more important things to worry about right about now than fighting a goddamn Alexander Usyk. It's just the implications, right? Now, this taints his resurgence of the 6-0 fights. People can go back and start to speculate, was he under the influence at that time? Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, the adverse findings is they're not calling it a PED, but it is a stimulant nonetheless. Okay, and it is banned under Vada. So let's just be extremely clear about that. We're waiting to see what the BBOC is going to do with him. But in the meantime, he himself has released a statement. Now, as I said, he has requested for his B sample to be tested since the metabolic returned in his urine. Now, again, this is recreational. It's they don't consider it a performance enhancer, but we all know that it can be. Um, as I said before, the ban can run from anywhere between a few months to up to 2 years. But Liam Cameron received 4 years for a similar situation. So we're just not sure. We have to wait for the BBOC and the UKAD to conclude their investigation. But as of right now, that ass is suspended, okay, until they work this whole thing out. Obviously, he's going to proclaim his innocence. He is pushing for his B sample to be tested. So we are going to see. Some people are, starting to make speculations, as I said, maybe this explains for his resurgence and his 6 wins. He is with Tyson Fury's, I guess, cousin or uncle, Andy Lee. Everybody remembers the situation with Tyson Fury and his gloves when he fought Deontay Wilder. So, people are just starting to make speculations. Hopefully, we just wait to see what happens. I mean, obviously, we know the facts is that, there were trace amounts of cocaine in his urine, which had only to be taken. They say that the day before his test was clean, so this had to have been on that day. But again, we're going to wait to see how this all plays out. B sample is being ordered. From there, we shall see.